What's up foodies, how you going today? Hope you guys are having a great day today. Today I have another beautiful recipe. This is the Sri Lankan Muslim style porridge. This is a typical village style Sri Lankan porridge, or we call it as kanji or Sri Lankan chicken kanji, or it's very tasty. This is the exact method how it is prepared in Sri Lanka in most of the Muslim households. During Ramadan time, it's one of the very signature dish of Muslims in the month of Ramadan. This is a very authentic, very Muslim signature dish. So I'm going to show you exactly how this is prepared. Before we get into the cooking process, I have all the ingredients ready for you here. So we got some chopped finely carrots, finely chopped into cubes. Nice, maybe like 2 carrots. I've got some tomatoes here, 3 tomatoes, some ginger, I've cut it into cubes, and also I have some pandan leaves, fresh pandan leaves. I've cut it into small square shapes, and some red onion, garlic, about 6 to 8 garlic. I got some curry leaves. I've got here paprika, you call this mal miris in Sri Lanka. I've got some green chilies, red onions, curry leaves, and in terms of whole spices, I've got some Sri Lankan Ceylon cinnamon, cumin seeds, cardamom, Sri Lankan cardamom. So I always crack open the cardamom so it releases the flavor. And I've got some fenugreek. You don't want to add too much fenugreek, your dish will become very bitter. I've got some pepper. So I took the peppercorns and crushed them into fine powder. I got Sri Lankan Maggi coconut powder. I'm going to dilute this with water so I get a coconut milk. You need turmeric powder, and I prefer meat with the bones because this is going to be a Sri Lankan chicken porridge. So I personally prefer chicken with the bones on it, so I don't have to add any extra chicken stock, because the chicken bone, while it's getting cooked with the porridge, the bones has its own stock. It releases the stock to the porridge and it creates a very beautiful chicken flavor, so you don't have to add any extra stock. The chicken bone releases the juices and it releases the stock, and the porridge will be absolutely magnificent. And I've got 2 cups of jasmine rice being soaked for 20 minutes and 1 cup of wheat, broken wheat. So I've got 2 cups of jasmine rice and 1 cup of wheat, cracked wheat. So this is all the ingredients that you need to get ready and get started. So let's get into the cook, and then let's start cooking. So we are ready to cook. I'm gonna switch on the gas to the medium gas mark, and my pot is nice and hot. I'm putting in some pure ghee. Ghee creates a good aromatic flavor to the dish, and also I'm gonna put in some coconut oil. The coconut oil is just frozen here, but the coconut oil adds a beautiful flavor to the dish. When it's mixed with the ghee, it's just beautiful when it starts to fry all the spices. So I'm giving it a stir. So I have the coconut oil, I have the ghee. Always try to use coconut oil on all the Sri Lankan dishes. The dishes turns out so beautiful. And I'm going to throw in the whole spices. I'm putting the Ceylon cinnamon. Cinnamon is so beautiful. It has a lot of health benefits. And then the cumin seeds and cardamom pods and the fenugreek. These whole spices have a lot of benefits to your health. So do try and use these whole spices. It's beautiful. It creates a beautiful flavor. Sri Lankan Ceylon cinnamon is just next level. It's just amazing. So make sure you don't burn the whole spices. Give it a good stir fry on a medium heat. You don't want to increase the gas mark to high heat. Give it a good stir fry, and we're going to add the veggies. Pandan leaves goes in, ginger, garlic, throwing in the garlic, curry leaves, and then after that we are throwing in the red onions followed by the green chilies, and we are going to leave the paprika, that's the Maalu miris, and the tomatoes, we are going to leave it for the last. So we're going to use that at the last minute. So we put all the spices, all the veggies inside, and we are going to give it a good fry, good temper in the ghee and the coconut oil. Trust me, you got to do this. The smell that I'm getting in my kitchen is absolutely beautiful here. The garlic, the curry leaves, and the onions, the pandan leaves is nice and fresh. When you start frying this, all these magic ingredients in the coconut oil and in ghee, the flavor is just beautiful. That's just great. My house smells absolutely beautiful. So I'm gonna give it a good stir fry. You want to make sure you don't want to burn all the spices. Make sure you have the control of the fire. It has to be on a medium gas mark. And next I'm gonna go ahead and add more coconut oil because it adds a bit more flavor, and I need the onions and all the other spices to get nicely tempered. Give it a good mix. This is just a beautiful recipe. Do try this at home. This is we do it in every year or once in a year. We do it sometimes once in a month. This is just a signature dish of all the Sri Lankan Muslims, and also most of the many parts of the world. They make Sri Lankan porridge as well. Even some Asian cookery has the porridge. It's a very famous dish. It's very healthy. See, so you can see the onions and all the other spices are starting to get tempered very well with the oil. It's so beautiful. The onions are starting to caramelize. I'm getting closer. Look, I'm getting closer to the dish. You can see it's so beautiful. This dish is beautiful. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the chicken with the bones. It has to be with the bones, and give it a good mix. Mix the chicken with all the masalas. Mix the chicken with the whole spices, with the ghee, with the coconut oil. It has to be the meat has to be with the bones, because bones itself creates a very juicy, very chicken stock. You don't want to add any extra stock. It creates a good stock and releases it to the porridge, and the taste is absolutely different. The taste is so beautiful. Right now I'm adding the paprika, and then followed by the tomatoes. So now I'm gonna go ahead and mix it up, mix it very well at this stage. Give it a good mix. A little bit of a hard work, but then it's worth it, Just mix it up very well. This is how we do it here. In most of the mosques during the month of Ramadan. This is really a village style recipe. Make sure you do try this at home, and your friends, your families will definitely love this recipe. So the gas is on a medium heat, and finally I'm adding my carrot, which I have chopped into cubes, nice and fine cubes. As usual, give it a good mix so it blends in with other spices. This dish might serve at least 15 to 7 people. So at the last, I'm adding my 2 cups of rice and 1 cup of cracked wheat. At this stage, you got to mix everything together and add enough water. You got to add enough water because the rice has to be very much mushy. Rice has to be cooked. It has to be diluted. It has to be blended with the water. You should not be able to see the rice particles after the porridge is cooked. So we are adding enough water to the porridge.
because I don't want any rice to be visible after the porridge is cooked. It has to be blended in. It has to be blended in like a very fine grain. So I've added enough water. That's it. So I'm going to give it a good mix. So I'm going to mix it up very well. So as you can see, I have added a lot of water because I want the rice to be very mushy, has to be very blended. Once again, you don't want any rice to be visible after it's being cooked. So mix it up very well. I mean, you can see the paprika there. I mean, the maulimiris creates a very beautiful taste. It adds a beautiful flavor to this porridge. That's one of the main secret. Mix it up. Always you need to add salt. Salt is always as per your taste. You can add salt and later you can adjust it according to your taste. So I'm adding a bit of salt here at this stage. Maybe even after the porridge is cooked, you can adjust the salt according to your taste. So remember, salt is according to your taste. So I'll put 2-3 teaspoons of salt there. I don't want to add too much, so later I can adjust the salt according to my taste. So I'm adding pepper. So I've got the peppercorns and crushed them into fine powder, and I'm adding a bit of pepper. And you don't add any spices to this dish. No chili powder, no curry powder. Only spices you add is turmeric powder and pepper. Now I'm adding in the turmeric powder. So make sure you only add turmeric powder and pepper. That's the only spice. You don't want chili powder or any other spices in it. You make this dish spicy only from pepper powder. Get some peppercorns and crush it, and you add pepper and give it a good mix. Very nice mix. So I got the pepper, I got the salt, I got the turmeric powder, and now I'm going to give it a good mix, and then I'm covering it up and let it cook for 30 to 40 minutes. And every 10 to 15 minutes you got to have a good stir. Or every 10 to 15 minutes you got to open the lid and make sure you give it a good stir. And you have to make sure the rice is very mushy. It has to be diluted with the water. Make sure you just give it a good mix, very good mix. You see, you can still see the rice particles visible, but it has to be very mushy. So at this stage, I'm going to go ahead and add my coconut milk. I've diluted my coconut milk powder with the water. So I'm adding in my coconut milk after it's been cooked for 30-40 minutes. My rice is very mushy. I cannot see any rice visible. So I'm giving it a good mix with the coconut milk powder, which I've diluted with the water. This is the consistency we try to achieve. The porridge has to be not too thick and not too very runny. It has to be not be like a soup, or it has not to be very thick. It has to be in between. This is the consistency. You see that? This is the consistency you got to achieve. Make sure you don't make it very soup or very thick. It has to be balanced. It has to be in between. So while I'm stirring, you can see the consistency. This is the consistency you have to try to achieve. So I'm giving it a good mix after I've added my coconut milk. You can also use fresh coconut, which adds a beautiful flavor, but I've used the coconut powder diluted with water. So at this stage also, what I'm going to do is cover it up, and then been simmering for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add my shredded chicken. So I've used the chicken breast boiled in hot water, and then I've shredded the chicken using my hands, and then I'm adding the chicken to the porridge. This adds a beautiful texture to the porridge. This is optional, but it's better you do it. It adds a beautiful texture to the chicken porridge, and it's just amazing. So I'm giving it a very nice and fine mix, and porridge is nearly done. I'm going to add my tempering, and then it's all good to go. So I'm going to do my tempering and finish it off my porridge. I'm adding a bit of ghee and with some coconut oil, and I'm going to fry some spices and some veggies, and make everything comes to a nice and smooth fry, and pour it straight into my porridge. I'm adding a bit of cumin seeds. Cumin seeds, it's beautiful. It creates a nice taste for the dish. So I've got the coconut oil, I've got my ghee, put my cumin seeds, and I'm adding some fennel. Fennel is very good. All the spices are really good for health. Some mustard seeds. Look at that crackle. That crackle is so beautiful. And I'm adding in my veggies, as pandan leaves, onions, and some paprika, curry leaves, and I'm gonna give it a good mix. And I'm gonna fry this for about 10 to 15 minutes, and after it's all caramelized, I'm gonna pour this straight into my pot. My tempering is almost done. I'm going to put it straight away into my porridge and mix it. Look at that, it's just beautiful. This is the finishing stage. So you temper a bit of all this veggie, and then, oh, beautiful, look at that. So you get that ghee, you get the coconut oil straight into the pot. I'm going to put one more spoon to the pot to grab all the flavors. I don't want to leave any flavors on my pan. Take all the flavors, put it back, and now, oh, this smells really beautiful. The ghee especially, mix it up. Look at that consistency. This is the consistency you should try to achieve. The porridge is cooked. It's cooked up to perfection. At this time, only thing I got to do is plate it up. Look at that consistency. It should not be too runny, not too thick. No rice is visible. It's all diluted. It's all blended in. The porridge is beautifully cooked, beautifully ready. All you got to do is invite some friends, or you can have it by yourself, serve it to your family, and it's all good. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Again, thank you for your support. Do subscribe and enjoy making this delicious recipe. And thank you so much for your support. And you have a great day. Love you all. Thank you so much.